No matter how good the audio is on the original video that you've shot, there are many things that you can do here in the Edit Bay that will improve your audio. For example, you might want to add narration, sound effects, or music, and all of these things can seriously enhance your soundtrack. Now, whether you are using a linear editing system, which is strongly focused on the audio mixer, or a non-linear editing system, such as a computer that has all kinds of audio capabilities, this segment will introduce you to some of the main tools and techniques you need to sweeten and edit your audio. The audio signal path in a typical linear editing system looks like this. You have some sources, your camcorder, microphone, CD player, running through possibly some filtration and equalization, but definitely into a sound mixer. The sound mixer combines all these multiple sources and outputs a single channel of monaural audio or left and right stereo. This signal is what gets recorded on your VCR. An important feature to have on a VCR that you use in linear editing is audio dub or audio insert. This allows you to replace the audio you originally shot with your video with something better. Say, lay in some music or sound effects, or lay a narration over the video. For an example of someone who would like to add extra soundtracks to his video, take this guy who shot some footage of his downtown area. Now he'd like to really spice it up and make it look and sound more like a promotional travel video for downtown. He starts with the natural sound that he shot with the video, and he brings that up off of his first source deck. Now off his second source deck, he brings up a narration that he recorded.
Historic downtown Millers Grove bustles with activity, home to quaint shops, historic parks, and pleasant people.
Finally, he brings up some music.
Historic downtown Millers Grove bustles with activity, home to quaint shops, historic parks, and pleasant people. Whether you stroll the streets to window shop or enjoy a classic.
If you're digitizing your footage onto a hard drive and editing video on a computer, the process is much different. The fundamental hardware component you need is some kind of capture card that will allow you to capture your audio, typically along with your video, onto your hard drive. Then you'll need some nonlinear video editing software, which gives you sound control, and it would be nice to have some audio editing software as well. Video editing software packages differ from one another in the amount of control they give you over your soundtracks. Some will offer you as many as 99 tracks of sound to play with, others only 2 or 3. Some will offer you all kinds of special effects and filters you can add, others just a few. But the major difference is between the timeline style of editing packages and the storyboard style. Typically, the timeline packages will offer you greater control over your sound, more tracks to work with, and more special effects. Remember that guy with the footage of downtown? Here's how he mixes his soundtracks using a non-linear editing system. He captured his natural sound when he captured his video onto his hard drive. Then he captured the narration onto his hard drive. And finally, he captured some music from the CD-ROM drive of his computer. Now watch as he lays those soundtracks one above the other in a timeline. He adjusts his levels. And he listens to the final product.
Historic downtown Millers Grove bustles with activity, home to quaint shops, historic parks, and pleasant people. Whether you stroll the streets to window shop or enjoy a classical concert in the park, you'll fall in love with Millers Grove.
There are a lot of things that you can do with your audio in post-production. You can mix your various audio tracks together, you can add music, you can resync audio with video, you can add effects, you can adjust your levels. And if you're working with a non-linear editing system, the possibilities are almost endless because you can add multiple layers of audio on top of each other to achieve the perfect effect for your production. The process of audio mixing is basically taking your multiple tracks of audio and adjusting their levels so that they play well together. You don't want your music overpowering your dialogue, and also you don't want it so low that your audience isn't going to hear it. And it's also a dynamic thing because in your mix you can adjust your audio levels to bring up the music to punctuate a point and then lowering it down when maybe your dialogue is more important. The process of audio sweetening is basically adjusting things like treble, bass, maybe using some noise reduction to get rid of some wind or some noise that was on a location. But basically, it's taking the time to make your audio richer and fuller so that your production sounds the best that it can. There are a couple of different ways that you can adjust your audio levels on a nonlinear editing system. You can use the gain tool, which will adjust the audio for an entire clip, or you can use the rubber band tool, which will let you adjust the audio at various points in the clip. You can basically create audio adjustments over time. So you can do crossfades, you can lower the volume, or you can just totally drop out the volume in just a portion of the clip, so say you have a problem area. There are a lot of audio effects that you can create, but you need to remember to be appropriate to your production. If you have a dramatic scene, you probably don't want to add an echo. If you're doing an interview, you probably don't want to add a flange. A good example of using an effect would be to take someone's recorded voice and make it sound like they're talking through a telephone.
Hello, thank you for calling. How can I help you? Hello, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Hello, thank you for calling. How can I help you? Hello, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
And you can also use audio effects to create transitions, much like a straight cut or a dissolve in video. There are a lot of audio problems that you can fix in post, but the important thing is to take the time and record your audio right to begin with. Wear the headphones so you can monitor the levels and make sure that there's no distortion in the sound. But there are things that you can fix. Some of the easier things to fix are to, say, use a notch filter to remove a tone that has a constant frequency, like the noise from a refrigerator, a car engine, or even a coffee roaster. As with a nonlinear editing system, there are a couple of ways to control your audio on a linear system as well. But the main difference is that you have to perform these functions on the fly during the edit. You can set your level once, do the edit, or you can ride the control and adjust the levels as the edit progresses. You can also add effects, but as with any analog signal, you need to consider there's going to be a generation loss. And you also have to take into consideration that there's no undo button on a linear system. The main differences between working with audio on linear and nonlinear editing systems are the time it's going to take you to achieve the effects that you want, and linear is an analog system, nonlinear is digital, meaning you're not going to have to worry about generation loss or sound degradation when applying effects. I mean, an example of this is, say you wanted to apply an effect on a nonlinear system, you could preview the effect, and if you didn't like it, you can just click undo. Whereas with a linear system, if you didn't like the effect, you'd have to start all over. Probably the most important thing, and the thing that's bit me the most, is making sure your audio levels are okay and making sure there's no distortion. I can't tell you how many times I've been at a production where I've gotten back to the shop, popped in the tape, and my audio was no good. I had to go back and do a reshoot.
Well, we've covered a lot. You've learned about mic types and pickup patterns, how to address common audio problems, and you've seen the tools available to help you sweeten your soundtrack in the edit bay. Along the way, we've talked about tools, terms, techniques, and theory. There's a lot to know about audio, but don't feel overwhelmed. Watch this tape before your next shoot and try one tip at a time as you've seen it described. Until next time, I'm Matt York.
Stand by, number 1. Mic cut, testing 1, 3. Number 2, you're up. Stand by, number 1.